Hello there, Star Wars and pop culture fans. I'm here today to talk about why I think that both Anakin is the new god of the Force and how this ties into Dave Filoni being the real heir to the Empire. Now, first things first, I'd like to welcome everyone to my new channel. I've wanted to do this for a long time, but I always thought that I wasn't a good enough speaker or analyst to do so. However, I realize that as I talk more and more with my friends and family about Star Wars or any pop culture content, it occurred to me that it doesn't really matter whether we have a perfect theory or how well versed we are in certain lore. We just love talking about it and coming up with fun theories. So that's what I would like to do here with you all. I don't claim to be an expert in any of the major IPs that are out there, and I would never. But I do find myself curating theories and talking about interesting themes, and I want to tap into the fandoms at large to see what you guys think about these things. So, with that said, let's dive in. The questions presented today are, is Anakin a god, aka the Father, and will Dave Filoni be the next President of Lucasfilm? My immediate answer to both of those questions are, possibly. Only time will tell, and here's why. Now let me back up a bit. After watching episode 4 of Ahsoka, I revisited a theory I now see flying all over the internet, which is that Anakin Skywalker is now one of the Mortis gods, the Father. Now, I know this isn't a new theory, but I did think about this a couple years ago when I watched The Clone Wars, specifically Season 3, Episodes 15 through 17. If you're unfamiliar with this, don't worry, I got you. I'll catch you up in 90 seconds, I think. So, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka go out on a mission to investigate this old Jedi distress code that they received, but while on that mission, they come across this spiritual world called Mortis. On the outside, it looks like a floating diamond. They're all like, what the heck is this? And then it opens up and this bright, blinding light appears, and they land alongside a mountain where everything is just beautiful. Luscious green land with gravity-defying features. It's a real Force-sensitive place, by the way. And they're perplexed by this place. And as they're trying to figure out where they are, they're approached by this ethereal woman who we find out is the daughter. Now, Obi-Wan's kind of into her and gives her a classic hello there, but like trying to be cool about it, but she totally dismisses it. Poor Obi-Wan can never find his true love in the galaxy. Now, she is one of the 3 divine gods that live on Mortis, where she, her brother, the Son, and the Father live to perfectly keep balance in the Force. Their sole purpose is just that, to keep the scales well balanced, not too far on the light side or the dark. The Father is truly the one to do this, being that he falls right in the middle, and this is represented down to his gray clothing. Eventually, Anakin meets the Father, and he tells him that he needs to test Anakin to find out if he is really the chosen one, because if he is, then he is to replace the Father. He was becoming old and weak, and he needed help controlling his children because he was no longer able to do it. So, he's been seeking the chosen one for some time so that he may be able to peacefully transition the power of the Father to the next Father. Anakin at first was like, yeah, I would, but I got this war to get back to, but then took the test anyway as an exchange to get off this weird-ass place. He was successful in doing so, and the Father tried to convince him again, but to no avail. Some drama goes down, mostly caused by the Son, but that's for another video. By the end, the daughter is killed by the Son, the Father sacrifices himself to make sure the Son doesn't take over Mortis and turn it into his crazy-ass man-Sith cave, I guess, and then Anakin sneak attacks from behind to give the Son a final and fatal strike right through the chest. You know, like how kids shows do. Okay, was that 90 seconds? No! Now that you're all caught up with that crazy space wizardry, let's talk about why that matters and how I think this story arc sets up Anakin to be the Father. So in Ahsoka episode 5, we see Anakin and Ahsoka in this nebulous place known as the World Between Worlds. Fun fact, this was inspired by C.S. Lewis's Wood Between Worlds, where it would basically act as a connector of worlds, like Earth, Charn, and Narnia in the Chronicle of Narnia series. In Star Wars, the World Between Worlds, you can see and hear things from the past, present, and future. It's like a universe that exists outside of the known universe, a cosmic universe, if you will, which is all interconnected here in this place. This is demonstrated in Rebels Season 4, Episode 13, when Ezra Bridger walks through it after being led to it by loathed wolves. Here's the thing, timeline-wise. In Ahsoka, Anakin is long gone. Remember, this takes place several years after Return of the Jedi, where Palpatine was destroyed. by Anakin after he and Luke had their battle and threw his lightsaber and swore not to kill his father because, as he says, I'm a Jedi, like my father before me. Now that little piece here is important, and I'll talk about it later. So, how could he be here in what looks like real life form? Not that translucent Force Ghost form we're familiar with, and specifically the one we saw at the end of Return of the Jedi. Well, I'll start with this. George has said the Skywalker saga has always been about Anakin because he's the chosen one. I think Dave intentionally created Mortis and the world between worlds so he could tee it up in the future to explain how Anakin fulfilled his prophecy. Yes, he defeated the Emperor, but only for a moment in time, because as we all know, somehow Palpatine returns. If he becomes the literal god of the Force, though, he truly has fulfilled the prophecy, just as the Father told him. I think if that's not the case here, then it's a total missed opportunity to complete the Chosen One prophecy in the Mortis storyline arc. And I could be totally off about all of this, but until I'm proven wrong, which could totally be the case very soon, I think he has finally taken his seat as the Father in the Cosmic Force. And when we see him in World Between Worlds, that's him paying his old Padawan a visit for one last lesson before she goes on to take her position as Ahsoka the White, which is a nod to Gandalf the White from Lord of the Rings. And then they do this so they can defeat Thrawn and save Ezra. There's a lot of parallels between Anakin and Ahsoka, and they're definitely intentional. The same way it's intentional between Dave and George, both master and apprentice. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I think Dave Filoni is setting all this up to reveal to us that the prophecy of the Chosen One is very much still alive and well, and it's taking on a more elevated meaning by Anakin taking his rightful place as heir to the Mortis throne, the same way Dave Filoni is ascending into his rightful place as heir to the Lucasfilm kingdom. And we've recently learned his new movie he's working on is called Heir to the Empire, a reference to Legends novels of the expanded Star Wars universe. So, lots of talk about heirs to empires. I think this is one of those life imitates art scenarios. Yes, we're getting meta today, brace yourself. See, just like how Vader was a Jedi before Luke, George was the creator before Dave. The same way Luke is the extension of Anakin, he needed Luke to find his way back to the light side and fulfill the prophecy. Luke told him that he still felt the good in him, and he was right about that, and this led to the defeat of the Empire. I bring that up to say that Dave is an extension of George, and he is ready to bring us back to telling the amazing Star Wars stories that George started by bringing balance to the Star Wars fandom and thus to Lucasfilm. Let's be real for a second. We are way off from what we all wanted from this franchise. There have been some good projects like Mandalorian and good moments in Book of Boba and Kenobi and Andor, but overall we have missed the mark of what Star Wars can really be, most likely due to leadership. A leader of this franchise has to understand that if you can make the franchise make sense with its lore, especially with all of these beloved legacy characters we've known for almost 50 years now, then you will have a successful franchise. Fans care a lot about how their characters are treated, and that also has been the gripe for most fans. They feel that those characters have been unfairly treated. So in this case, Anakin becoming the Father, the literal god of the Force, will totally redeem his arc, and I'm positive Dave knows that. Now, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have given us some S-tier level content in Star Wars history, like Mando Season 2, especially the finale. Chef's kiss. And now with Ahsoka, especially Episode 4 and 5. With Dave at the wheel, we could get more of these iconic moments. Now, we could look elsewhere, right? And we should, because the current leadership is not it. Now, there have been other creators and leaders at Lucasfilm, but none of whom know or can carry the legacy on in the same way that Filoni can. As much as I love Jon Favreau as a director and creator, without Dave, I don't know that he makes Star Wars what it can be and move the needle forward. The same with Tony Gilroy, great director, but he admittedly does not know much about Star Wars. And as much as Andor was considered a great show, it was a little boring. Let's just keep it real. We want the lightsaber action and the Force and, generally more awesome stuff to look at. I digress. I'm just saying, the circle could be complete. When George left, Dave was but the learner. Now he is the master. So what I'm trying to say is, let's just let him cook. But in all seriousness, Who else should take the mantle other than the chosen one? Literally. I mean, he was chosen by the man himself to work on a show with legacy characters, which added layers to the prequel story and the Star Wars saga as a whole. You're telling me you don't want that guy to hold the keys? Look, you may not agree with certain things that he does. You may have gripes with the Ahsoka show, or Mando Season 3, or maybe even Clone Wars and Rebels. But my question is, if not him, then who? Is there anyone else there at Lucasfilm that you think should be worthy to steer this ship? If you can point them out and provide good reason for that, I'm all ears, genuinely. But to be honest, I think you'll be hard-pressed to find someone with the credibility and creative chops to do it. Filoni may not be perfect, but he was chosen by George for a reason. And just like George before him, he will bring balance to the Star Wars fandom. And just like Anakin before Luke, he will bring balance to the Force, just as the prophecy was told. They are essentially on the same arc right now. And I don't know about you, but I think Star Wars needs a new daddy. And Filoni is him. It is both Anakin and Dave's destiny. And that's why I think Anakin will be the new father of the cosmic force. And Dave Filoni could be the chosen one, aka Star Wars' space daddy. Thank you. Now, you all know this is just my opinion on this. Again, I could be totally wrong here about both claims. But then I ask you, if you're not with me, then what's your take on this? I would love to hear what you all think about Anakin's role is from this point on. And what's Dave's? For now, that's all I have for you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I look forward to hearing from you and seeing you on the next one. Now, I just want to say before we end this is really meant to be just like a coffee chat where it's me and you, and I like to just kind of pretend that we're all having this here together. That's why I set this up this way. So it's really just meant to be for fun and for us to get some cool ideas out there. So really looking forward to making more videos and talking about some awesome stuff. May the Force be with you. And I'm out.